The sun blazed high over the arid desert as Angelina Jolie stepped off the dusty transport vehicle, her boots crunching on the gravel. She was here for another humanitarian mission, this time at a remote border region where displaced families were struggling to survive. The air was heavy with tension, the horizon dotted with makeshift tents and desperate figures seeking shelter from the unrelenting heat. Angelina, dressed in simple khakis and a loose shirt, blended seamlessly with the aid workers around her. Despite her global fame, she carried herself with quiet humility, focused solely on the task at hand. As she surveyed the scene, her attention was drawn to a commotion near one of the tents. A group of aid workers had gathered around a distressed woman clutching two small children. Her voice, filled with fear and urgency, carried over the murmurs of the camp. Intrigued and concerned, Angelina moved closer, her instincts telling her this was more than just another case of displaced hardship. It was a cry for immediate help. The woman's trembling voice told a story of fear and danger. She had fled her home with her two children, narrowly escaping violence that had torn her village apart. Now, stranded at the border, she was told that her husband, who had been separated from them during their escape, was being held at a checkpoint just miles away. Angelina knelt beside the woman, her calm presence offering reassurance. "What's his name? What happened?" she asked gently. The woman explained through broken sobs that her husband had been detained because he didn't have proper documentation. The border checkpoint was notorious for its harsh conditions, and the thought of an innocent man being trapped there gnawed at Angelina. Turning to the aid workers, she asked, "Has anyone tried to contact the checkpoint?" The team exchanged uneasy glances. The checkpoint was heavily guarded, and negotiations weren't always successful. Angelina stood, her resolve hardening. "We have to try," she said firmly. "No family should be torn apart like this." The woman looked at her with hope flickering in her tearful eyes, as if sensing that Angelina wasn't someone who gave up easily. The jeep rumbled along the dusty road as Angelina and the aid workers made their way toward the checkpoint. The terrain was rough, the air tense with anticipation. Angelina sat in the front seat, quietly discussing strategies with the team. "We need to approach cautiously," one of them advised, their tone wary. The checkpoint, visible in the distance, was guarded by barbed wire and armed soldiers. The closer they got, the more determined Angelina felt. This wasn't just another mission. It was a chance to bring hope where it was needed most. She took a deep breath as the checkpoint loomed closer, ready for whatever lay ahead. As the group approached the checkpoint, armed guards immediately stepped forward, their expressions stern and unyielding. One of the aid workers raised his hands in a gesture of peace, explaining their purpose. The guards exchanged glances but allowed them to approach cautiously. Angelina stepped forward, her presence commanding without being confrontational. She introduced herself simply, careful not to rely on her fame but on the merit of her mission. "We're here to ensure the safety of a displaced family," she explained. "A man named Khalid was separated from his wife and children. We believe he's being held here." The guards were hesitant, their posture rigid. One of them barked something in a language Angelina didn't understand, but the tension in his tone was clear. The minutes stretched on, each one feeling heavier than the last. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, one of the guards radioed for confirmation. Angelina's heart pounded as they waited for a response. She could feel the desperation of Khalid's wife and the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. When the guard finally nodded, confirming Khalid's presence, Angelina felt a surge of relief, but the fight wasn't over yet. The guards allowed Angelina and her team to approach the holding area, a small makeshift building surrounded by fences. Khalid was brought out, his face gaunt but his eyes lighting up as he recognized Angelina's group. "My family, are they okay?" he asked urgently, his voice raw with emotion. Angelina nodded reassuringly. "They're safe," she said, "and we're here to bring you back to them." Khalid's shoulders sagged with relief, but the guards weren't ready to let him go just yet. One of them explained in clipped tones that without proper documentation, Khalid couldn't cross the border freely. Angelina stepped forward again, her voice calm but firm. "This man has done nothing wrong. He's a father, a husband. He belongs with his family." She appealed to their humanity. emphasizing the moral responsibility of reuniting a family torn apart by circumstances beyond their control. Her words seemed to resonate with one of the guards, who finally relented. "He can go," the guard said, his tone reluctant but yielding. Khalid's face broke into a smile, and Angelina felt a wave of relief. Oh, they had won a small but significant victory. Khalid stepped into the jeep, his face a mix of exhaustion and relief. As the vehicle bounced along the uneven road, he sat silently, clutching his small bag. Angelina offered a reassuring smile. "Your family is waiting for you," she said softly. Khalid nodded, his eyes filled with quiet gratitude. When the camp finally came into view, Khalid's wife and children were already waiting, silhouetted against the setting sun. The jeep slowed to a stop, and Khalid stepped out, rushing into their embrace. Their reunion was filled with tears and laughter, a moment of pure relief and joy. The camp seemed to pause as Khalid's family reunion unfolded. The other displaced families watched silently, their faces a mix of joy and longing. Khalid knelt, holding his children close, his voice breaking as he whispered their names. His wife clung to him as though afraid he might vanish again. Angelina stood a few paces away, giving them space but unable to suppress the warmth spreading through her chest. This was why she was here, not for recognition, but for moments like this. A local aid worker approached her, his expression one of awe. "You didn't have to go to the checkpoint yourself," he said. She turned to him, her voice steady but reflective. "Sometimes you have to step into the chaos to make a difference," she replied. "It's not about what's easy, it's about what's right." Her words resonated with the aid workers, who nodded in silent agreement. The camp soon returned to its rhythm, but for Khalid and his family, this day would be etched in their memories forever. Angelina watched as the children laughed for the first time in days, their joy filling the air like a beacon of hope. That evening, as the camp settled into a quiet calm, Angelina sat alone outside her tent. The stars stretched endlessly above her, their light a stark contrast to the darkness she had seen earlier that day. She sipped from a tin cup, her thoughts swirling between gratitude and determination. Khalid's wife approached her, holding a bundle of bread and fruit. "This is for you," she said, her voice filled with emotion. Angelina hesitated, then accepted the gesture with a gracious smile. "Thank you," she said softly. They sat together in silence for a while, the only sound the gentle rustling of the wind. Finally, Khalid's wife spoke. "You gave us back our family. I can never repay you." Angelina shook her head. "You don't owe me anything," she said. "What you have now, your family, your strength, that's what matters." As the night deepened, Angelina felt a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just about one family, it was about the countless others who still needed help, whose stories deserved to be heard. And she knew she would keep fighting for them, one mission at a time. And so, what began as another mission turned into a profound reminder of the power of courage and compassion. Angelina Jolie's determination to reunite a family showed us all that no matter how challenging the road, doing what's right is always worth it. Thank you for watching this inspiring story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible Hollywood tales. See you in the next video.